The old De La Cruz house stood at the end of a quiet street in Marikina. Hidden behind overgrown camagong trees, it was a looming presence. No one had lived there for years. Locals whispered stories about the house, stories about shadows moving within. One hot summer day, a moving truck arrived. A family emerged from the vehicle. They were quiet, keeping to themselves. The townspeople watched, curious and afraid. The father, Mr. Rodrigo, was tall and thin. His wife, Mrs. Rodrigo, was beautiful, but her eyes were sad. They had a son, a young boy named Juanito, who always seemed to be watching. As the days passed, the townspeople noticed strange things. Lights flickered on and off in the dead of night. A dog's mournful howl echoed from the house. Some swore they saw a figure in one of the windows, a shadowy silhouette that vanished when they blinked. The rumours started slowly, whispers spreading like wildfire through the town. The whispers soon turned into stories about strange noises coming from the house, stories about the pale boy, Juanito, who never left the house, never played with the other children. One day, Alingi Singh, who lived across the street, swore she saw Juanito talking to someone in the garden. But when she looked closer, there was no one there. The boy was just whispering to the air. Fear began to grip the townspeople. They avoided the old De La Cruz house. Parents wouldn't let their children play outside after dark. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. What was happening in that house? The stories about the De La Cruz house were as old as the town itself. Some said the house was built on cursed land. Others claimed that a family had been murdered there many years ago. Their spirits, unable to find peace, haunted the house. Mang Tasio, the oldest man in town, told a chilling tale. He said that the De La Cruz family, who had lived there before, had been plagued by misfortune. Their crops had failed, their animals had died. One by one, the family members had succumbed to a mysterious illness. Mang Tasio said that the last surviving member of the De La Cruz family, a young woman named Celia, had gone mad. She had claimed that the house was cursed and that the spirits of her dead family were tormenting her. One night she had set the house on fire, burning it to the ground with herself inside. The tension in the town reached a fever pitch. The townspeople, fueled by fear and superstition, decided to confront the Rodrigo family. Armed with whatever tools they could find, they marched towards the old De La Cruz house. They pounded on the door, demanding answers. When there was no response, they broke down the door and stormed inside. The house was dark and silent. They found Mr. and Mrs. Rodrigo huddled in the living room, their faces etched with fear. But Juanito was gone. Suddenly a voice echoed through the house. It was Juanito, but it was not the voice of a young boy. It was deep and resonant, filled with an ancient sorrow. The voice led them to the attic. There they found Juanito standing in the center of the room. He turned to face them, and his eyes glowed with an eerie light. "This house," Juanito said, his voice echoing, "does not need fixing. It needs understanding." He then went on to explain that he was a spirit, bound to the house to help people remember its history. He wasn't there to harm anyone. The Rodrigos, a family of historians, knew his story and had come to protect the house, not exploit it. The townspeople, ashamed and confused, left the house that night, their fear replaced by a newfound understanding. The strange occurrences stopped, but the memory of that night and Juanito's message lingered on.